checks for only those specific crimes. In those jurisdictions that carve out high-risk categories of crime, applicants are given an opportunity to present evidence of rehabilitation and other information pertinent to the nature and severity of the conviction. New Jersey and Detroit are two examples. Introduction 632 has a narrow exemption for sex offenses, but no other exemptions, nothing for arson, murder, burglary, and other crimes. These are glaringly absent from the bill that the Council is now considering, and that is a major reason why the bill should not be approved. What's more, these criminal background bans have been tried in the employment context, and they have failed and wound up hurting the very communities they are trying to help. Studies overwhelmingly show that when decision makers are blocked from knowing anything about an applicant's criminal background, they resort to making their own assumptions. They look at gaps in employment history or residency and wonder, what does this gap represent? Without the ability to answer this question, employers assume the worst and resort to racial profiling. Two leading professors of social justice and policy development hold up these exact kinds of criminal background bans as failures where legislators have neglected to think through how the laws will affect those whose behaviors they are trying to control. They say that while the aim is to give people with a criminal record a greater chance, and I quote, unfortunately, laws without look-backs have failed, and studies have discovered that these laws have the undesirable, 20 seconds, effect of reducing employment opportunities for low-income, low-skilled Black and Hispanic men by approximately 14%. Let's not make the same mistake for housing that was already made in the employment context. I urge you to vote against this bill in its current form. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Conway Spiegel. I'm a resident at an apartment in Lower Manhattan. I handed out photographs of a resident in our building who is terrorizing us currently. Here's some data. NYPD has been on site at our location 32 times. I have 22 pages of documentation of this gentleman terrorizing our building, assaulting owners, punching people, and ruining the property. There is a picture of glue, spray glue he put in a common fire door. I guess my question about 0632 is this: where's the structure that is going to support these that is going to support these people? I don't see any infrastructure. I don't see any scaffolding at all. There was questions asked about how is this going to be policed? How is this going to be executed going forward? How is it going to be supported? I mean, who is supporting these people as they move into housing? This gentleman, who is currently been arrested at least 12 times, is being supported by the city. This has been going on since 2019. It is now 2023, and the city tries to get APS to come to our location to give him mental support so he can go to mental health court. But nothing is happening. So there is currently no support in a situation where a criminal is in our building. There is no support for the owners and the residents. How in the world is 632 going to be supported when we can't even get rid of someone in our building who is committing crimes?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chair Williams. Thank you, Councilmember Ina Vernikoff. Unfortunately, I don't see Keith Powers still here, the majority leader. I wish he was still here listening to our testimony.
He has a joint hearing. He's literally next door.
Okay, well, hopefully he can listen to our testimony because we're here at 2 o'clock and I signed in a little before 9 a.m. My name's Yiatin Chu. I'm president of Asian Wave Alliance. I'm here to urge council members to oppose Intro 632. New Yorkers have the right to feel safe in their homes, and our laws should protect residents from known risk in a fair and transparent manner. Asian New Yorkers have the highest home ownership, 42% in New York City, 50% in Queens, 77% in Staten Island. If passed, this will affect Asians disproportionately in New York City. Many Asian families own multifamily homes that they rent to supplement their income and consider as their nest egg for retirement. These are not the 1%ers. These are working class families who struggle to make mortgage payments, pay taxes, and expenses for upkeep. Not only have homeowners and small landlords have been distressed and harmed by pro-tenant policies made worse in the past 3 years, they are now put in danger of living upstairs from possible dangerous criminals. Intro 632 is another attack on all of us. Our electeds continue to prioritize the lives of convicted criminals over the safety of hardworking New Yorkers. This is a deceptive bill. The reality is that landlords don't live in the buildings that they rent out. We, as neighbors, as the community members, bear the brunt of the harm. This is a safety concern for all the residents who share the same entrances, elevators, and laundry rooms with neighbors who've had a violent criminal history. After a long day of braving our streets and subways, we all deserve the right to come home to a place of safety and security. 632 in its current form threatens to take that away. We call on the city council members to pass responsible laws that protect New Yorkers, not put more of us in harm's way. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have questions, Councilman Vernikoff? Thanks for your testimony. And I just want to say, I hear what you're saying, and housing in New York City is so complicated. I have so many friends who have tenants who are harassing them that don't have criminal records, and they have trouble getting rid of those tenants because, unfortunately, our laws do favor tenants most of the time. And so I recognize what you're saying. I don't necessarily think getting rid of this bill is going to address the issue that you have. I think we have to be comprehensive in our approach and also think about ways to protect homeowners, condo owners, folks who are in co-ops that do have members and residents that are causing a whole bunch of chaos. And so I hear that. It's actually something that my office has been working on because I actually have majority homeowners in my district. I do not have a lot of tenants in my district. And so I'm very sensitive to issues that small property owners have. And so I just wanted to kind of mention that to you, that this bill, I get what you're saying. You want to kind of, from your perspective, you want to sort of limit, sort of, what are you saying?
No, you're misunderstanding me. The first thing I think about is the only power that I have left on behalf of the people in my building is a criminal background check, because the system of trying to help this man in a progressive way to get social services, to go to mental health court, to not go to jail, because he probably shouldn't go to jail. But it seems like the only tool I have now on behalf of the people in my building is a criminal background check. Other than that, we've spent almost 4 years doing all the right things. APS, counseling, health, court.
Right, and so all I'm saying is, I get what you're saying, you're talking about support and services for folks who are struggling with something, maybe mental health, et cetera, and so
I want a criminal background check for the next person.
I know, and all I'm saying to you is I hear that, and I think there are other things that the city can do to support what you're saying that does not necessarily have to do with criminal background checks.
But that's not what happens on the ground.
I hear you.
I'm sorry.
I hear you.
It's like a restaurant. You guys are front of the house. The back of the house is a whole nother thing.
So that's what I'm saying. I hear you. And so while we try to reconcile this bill, all I'm saying is there are other measures that are currently not in place that would also get to what you're saying that have nothing to do with this bill. I just mentioned to you that I have people who own homes who have tenants that are harassing them, that are very problematic, and they don't have any type of criminal backgrounds, and they still have trouble and fears of safety. And so all I'm saying is I get what you're saying, and I think there is a comprehensive approach that is needed that does not just deal with criminal background checks, but the housing system as a whole. So thank you so much for your testimony. I think we have one more person that's testifying.
Can I just
yes,
respond?
Right after,
Okay.
after the person testifies, because I didn't even realize that you didn't testify.
I testified already.
She did.
Oh, you. Oh, sorry,
Yes.
you.
Yes. Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairwoman Williams, and thank you, Councilmember Vernikoff. My name is Susan Lee. I'm the founding president of the Alliance for Community Preservation and Betterment. I am a resident of Lower Manhattan. I am a constituent of Christopher Marte, who has refused to meet with me when I have expressed my concern about this legislation. Our housing system certainly needs reform, but we repeatedly overshot the runway in those efforts. Intro 632 is a perfect example. On the surface, this bill would seem like a laudable attempt to address housing and discriminatory practices. However, as currently written, this bill would do neither. Instead, it could destabilize the housing market and harm the most vulnerable. Earlier this morning, some council member had asked questions about criminal background checks and the percentages of discrimination in the ban-the-box employment. According to a study in 2018 in the Journal of Labor Economics, ban-the-box studies have shown that Black men's chances of being hired has decreased by 5.1% and Hispanic men by 2.9%. On the flip side, when more information are available, such as credit and drug tests, the employment prospects improve. I fear that this legislation, should it become law, will increase the discrimination of Black and Hispanic men because of the pretense that they might be involved in the criminal justice system. And some of the other issues that others have brought up, such as shortage of housing, crowded shelters, these are the things that the government should be doing. It shouldn't be upon private property owners to resolve these issues. Lastly, with conclusive collaborative dialogue, the needs of all parties could be addressed. I urge the City Council to be bolder and more comprehensive. A better bill is possible if you just took the time to write it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment in response?
Yeah,
Thank you for your sentiment. Obviously, it's clear that there are things that are being carved out, such as sex offenders, right? And we recognize that there are certain crimes that we don't want to bring into our residences. There are many others. I want to just cite an instance that is very real. We have Chinese landlord that have predominantly a Chinese building in the Lower East Side. He or she should know if someone that they're putting in the building has a history of being convicted for anti-Asian hate crimes. Why is that not considered? I mean, there's assaults, there's so many violent history of people that can come in. Yes, there are some that are rehabilitated and have not committed, and those should be given a chance. But there are also ones that have repeat offenses that actually bring a lot of harm to their neighbors and their community. This bill does not address that. This bill addresses sex offenders. That's great. But you know what? What about everything else that people living in that building should be concerned about and will be concerned about? As Councilmember Holden rightfully said, we do a lot of checks to protect our children in schools. They spend 8 hours in school and we protect them. They spend the other hours at home. Where are we in protecting the kids that return home? Shouldn't they be safe? Shouldn't they be free from criminals? I think these are common sense things that need to be written into the law. And we need you as representatives to really take the time and go through these concerns and address them in this law, and not just be bleeding hearts for people that, yes, some of them do deserve second chances, but there are ones that really are violent, are evil, and are repeating offenses that will cause harm to law-abiding citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I respectfully disagree with some of the things you said, but I just want to reiterate, this is the purpose of a hearing. So you are able, I've given you extra time to talk about your opinion because we do value everyone's opinion, and we do want to hear those concerns and efforts to make sure that this bill doesn't have a lot of the unintended consequences that you so eloquently discussed. So I just want to say, this is a part of the process of listening. So, a bill is introduced. But a part of that is hearing from people, hearing your opinion about the bill, working with the bill sponsors to then make perhaps whatever amendments may or may not make sense. So I just wanted to kind of empower you that this is why we hold hearings, is to hear